Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to City Alpha 3, a Star Trek podcast here on the Nerd Party Network. I'm your host, Daniel Prue, and joining me as always are my two friends, one from the Ghost of Future Past and the Ghost of Past Present Tense, Philip and Darren. How are you guys doing?
I was actually in the perfect conditional sense, but yeah, I'm doing good.
Well, you were doing perfect, it sounds like.
I haven't traveled through time, but my head has, so figure that out.
How was your Star Trek weeks? Anybody watching it? Well, Philip, I mean, you're towards the end of Voyager now, right?
Yes, yeah. I always get stuck on what I've just watched. But anyway, especially now with Prodigy having two Janeways, making it even more confusing. But yes, I'm starting to get to the end of Season 6 of Voyager, and then I'll have one season left. And then, as we talked about last week, then I'll probably take a break like for a week or two, but then I'll probably join the NX-01 and Dry Dock and go from there. But
that's right. We all pledged to do that together. So
3, 2, 1, play.
Are you ready for that, Darren?
Yeah. No, I'm ready to get started. That'd be fun. I'm still on board.
All right.
I did watch. Now I'm going to vaguely remember what I just watched because Jeffrey Combs. Oh, I know, Sukansi. Because I was like, okay, the one with the rock, obviously. But then when I was watching the credits for the guest stars, the first one to come up was Jeffrey Combs. I'm like, oh, he was in this one? And so, yeah, he plays like the guy in charge of the fight. But I was like, oh, man, he truly is in everything.
So can we blame/credit that episode for The Rock's career? I mean, is it really what took off, for him? Because obviously he's a very famous actor now, very all over the place. So
I would be curious whether that was his, outside of wrestling, of course, if that was his first TV appearance or not.
Yeah, I imagine so. How come like Data didn't show up in like the WWE or whatever? If they're going to do crossovers, this should go both ways, is all I'm saying.
I feel like Michael Dorn as Worf could have...
Worf,
he could have been full makeup. He didn't have to do anything really.
But Janeway should have shown up on Seinfeld. Is that the vibe we're going for?
Oh, now we have a new episode topic.
Yeah.
Fair crossovers.
Put it up there.
Exchange.
Yeah, put it up there with. I think first we'd have to watch the Worf Webster crossover.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And then go from there.
Well, believe it or not, crossovers is not what we're talking about today, guys. But in my rewatch this week, I got to the excellent Trials and Tribulations. It got me to thinking, and I want to talk about this pretty broadly, but we can go into specifics if you guys want. But I want to talk about time travel, something I know Philip knows a lot about. We have an expert here, so I want to talk about time travel in Star Trek and how it's handled generally. Because in the episode Trials and Tribulations, if you remember, in the beginning, they just happened upon the Orb of Time. And I was like, that's kind of lazy, but whatever, right? Because Star Trek has established this. And then I was thinking back of all the other times that we go through time in Star Trek. And I think it's almost always really lazy. I think about First Contact. All of a sudden, the Borg just have time travel ability. That's never explained or ever dealt with again or never used for their advantage. You can think of even Star Trek 4 going around the sun, or almost every episode. You know what? In fact, I pulled this up and I'm so glad that Memory Alpha has a list of time travel mechanics that's used in Star Trek. Okay? And I'm going to go through it. It's like maybe less than 15. Black hole, created by red matter. So that's obviously 09. A chrono deflector, the Nexus, the Orb of Time, Q powers, the Red Angel suit, a slingshot effect going around the sun, a temporal causality loop, temporal conduit, temporal transporter, temporal vortex, time portal, time ships, and wormholes. And I think Star Trek is really lazy about its time travel.
Wait, did they add the time crystal? Or I guess that's part of the Red Angel suit, isn't it?
Is it? Did it go into the suit? I don't remember that.
I was just trying to,
No, yes, it is. It says Red Angel suit using a time crystal. You're right. Sorry. Yep. Absolutely. Remember, they called time crystal.
Time crystals are probably available every day in your century, but here in 2022, they're a little hard to come by.
So true.
We're going to start out with the premise: Star Trek is lazy about time travel. I want to just get your thoughts generally on like what you think about when you think of Star Trek time travel episodes. We've talked a little bit about this in the past, but do you enjoy those types of things? Like again, I think Philip probably maybe has some thoughts. Do you enjoy those types of stories? Is the time travel? Do you ever sit and think about how this works, or does it just not matter? It's fine if it's a time crystal or a Q or whatever. Or does it bother you at all, like me? Just because it breaks my brain a little bit. But what do you think, Philip?
Well, I think it's interesting, given the timeline of Star Trek, of what's projected, because, according to Star Trek and many franchises or series, the future of the Federation, even Discovery says it is time ships, is not exploring space per se, but exploring time. I guess I'm trying to think back, because current Discovery, takes place post Federation, time ship Federation, if you will. But I don't know if they explained how that ended. Like, in other words, that, in Discovery time, they're not still traveling through time, even the remnants of the Federation or other worlds. But that's sort of like the past was the time period. But anyway, all that said, it does lead to, like, once you discover time travel in universe, I think it's the same problem as we know now today, that there is no time travel, because we would know, like, it would be just some jacked up and messed up. Like, I mean, once it starts happening, you sort of like, it's hard to believe, even if the Federation, pure as the white snow during this period, the Klingons are somehow there's a rebellion, like something's going to happen. I know that you could say the temporal Cold War, right? But like, it just messes everything up once it becomes commonplace. And I think, not that I'm saying it's lazy, but I think a lot of the episodes and movies, it's often like, incident makes us time travel, whatever the ones you listed. The end of the episode is like, we'll just reverse engineer the thing and then never mention it again. Like, it was sort of like with the slingshot effect. I mean, that's from the original series. That's from, right. And it's like the Federation just had that in their pocket. I mean, we're not going to use it. And then it's like, Admiral Kirk's like, oh, what we could do? Travel through time. That button we never use,
Well, it's interesting. Because I think the trick is kind of like the lack of scarcity of time travel. Like, it's not, or the risk. Like, they always try to play it up. Like, well, we might fly in the sun, but we know they're going to make it. Like, it's every time they try, they always succeed. So it actually makes me think of the one time travel. Well, there's been a few, but in the latest season of the Orville, they do a time travel episode where one of the crew gets sent back into the past and they receive a message from him in the future. And by the time they receive the message, they're like, oh, so he lived this span of time and died. Like, we have to go get him. And it's kind of controversial. And when they do, they undershoot, because it's still like this one ship has this one piece of technology that might get them back. And it's definitely not an exact science. So they have to kind of try again. And it's much more like, this is hard. This is not easy. Oh, the Borg have chronoton, blah, 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 So it was handled in a really interesting way for a sci-fi series. I know that's not a Star Trek answer, but it made me think of that as just a more modern take on let's just go back in time, where it is difficult and it doesn't fully work, and it actually has some moral ramifications.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, but I think what Philip was saying about it being common is the point. So, like, there are multiple times that characters, Janeway does it, O'Brien does it, they lament on, there's like classes that you have to take. There's temporal and like classes, temporal mechanics and stuff that you have to take at the academy. Like, it is so common that everybody is aware of this. This was part of the reason I wanted to talk about this was because in Troubles and Tribulations, those guys from the temporal
Investigations.
temporal investigations come.
Great at
and I'm like,
parties.
how does that job work?
Right.
Like, do they have like time detectors that can tell when people?
Or is it like a
something is
self-report?
altered?
It feels like a self-reporting. Like, oh, someone submitted a 552/J form. They went back in time.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Yeah, and like in Picard season 2, they're not all, but some of them they're on a civilian ship. They go back in time. So can anyone just time travel? I mean, I know they do it because through Q, but I'm just saying, like, literally, can anybody in the universe, especially since there's so many different ways to do it, and it's seemingly pretty easy. Like Philip said, they had that technology of going around the sun for 30 years or whatever, and that's all before even the TNG era of time travel. So it just seems like it's so easy. It's almost like just non-special in any way. It's just a thing that happens to people all the time.
I almost wonder, because they never mention it, but this would make sense-ish as an explanation if they ever did it. But it's too late now. That time travel is maybe like nuclear weapons. It was used once, and then we all agree, for whatever reason, myriad of reasons, that we're not going to use them again. Lots of people have it, but no one, knock on wood, has used it. And so, I would feel like there should have been, like, a time travel accord, and that could have, it almost reminds me of, like, the cloaking treaty. But it's like, people have time travel technology, because obviously, at this point. But like,
we have the ability to detect when you use it, and you have the ability to detect when we use it. And if we all start just time traveling, we're going to mess up everything. So let's agree to not use it. That actually makes a lot of sense, Philip.
Yeah, I like that idea, and maybe that's what the Temporal Investigations team does.
Because that would be a great series, because it would almost be like you could put people together that would never be together because of the special. It's almost like the Omega Directive, like this temporal. Like you could have Romulans working with Klingons, working with humans, working you could have a Borg. I don't know. You could have anything you wanted, right? Because it's because it's such this threat, or whatever you want to call it, that they all have to work together. The small elite team of temporal investigators.
I do like that, but again, I think the problem is the fact that it doesn't take. So, nuclear weapons is difficult, and you need a lot of really smart people to work on that sort of stuff.
Not like time travel.
Any guy with a
warp drive and a good navigator.
Yeah, you could have a shuttlecraft and probably sling yourself around the sun.
Yeah, I think the sun slinging is like one of the tricky ones, because again, we really should show like, oh yeah, here's 100 ships trying it, 99% of them die. Like, it has to be, the 1 in a million chance, and it's written so as, well, you just have a good helmsman like Sulu, and you go right at the right angle, and it works every time.
They had Spock, isn't that the answer?
That's true. They also had Spock. Yeah.
Yeah, but like in that instance, even if that were true at that time, they would have refined that process over the next 50, 100 years. So by the time you got to TNG, it literally could have just been put the course in the computer, plug in the date on the
run the Spock algorithm,
and yeah, exactly,
slingshot. Yeah.
So it wouldn't be.
You got 3 computer cores on the Enterprise D. One of them could be the time travel core, and all it does is think about how to go
put
back
2
in time.
keys in, turn them at the same time.
Yep. 1A, 2B, all that stuff.
That's right. First officer acknowledged time travel directive.
That'd actually be kind of interesting if that was a... But again, obviously for a writing standpoint, it's chaos, because it just opens up too many issues. It's like, oh, well, that character died. Not anymore. It's just... timetable just makes everything messy.
Yeah, I think and again, we'd have to get into specific instances, because I think some of those, like the cause or the deja vu, that's a different thing. I think, that's harmless time travel where you're in a loop with the Enterprise blowing up. Okay, that's nothing they caused per se.
And that's a good example, Philip, because that is like like you said, that's like a spatial anomaly. So it is kind of lazy or whatever, but it's like a very localized thing too. Like they're not traveling anywhere; they're just stuck in a small loop.
But it's like the yes. I mean, again, I don't want to get rid of the episode. It's great, but yesterday's Enterprise, like the explanation is like we just shot a bunch of torpedoes and temporal anomaly and Enterprise C came over.
Well, because all
the other Enterprise,
all time travel episodes hinge on the fact that there's one true observer who realizes there's been a change. If there's no true observer, yesterday's Enterprise is like, great, other ship, here we go. Like nobody's like, oh, send them back, because if you don't have Guinan, that's how it would have played out.
But even other Picard must know and be aware of time travel because he accepts her explanation. He goes along with her because he thinks that somehow that there are parallel universes or
he also accepts the fact that the Enterprise C is in front of him. It time traveled. It's like this obviously is not a ship that's supposed to be here.
Right.
And they have records that the Enterprise C is an interesting case because its disappearance coincides with what history says. So he's like, oh yeah, the ship got destroyed. It's not like, oh, that ship retired totally fine and had no problems. Like, why is it here? Like, it's not like that.
And you could look up the records.
Or you have the Bozeman. I know we're getting into specifics, but like, pulling a whole crew like 70 years into the future, and they're not like, let's just get you on another ship and we'll send you back and then everything will be fine. They're like, nope, history records you as dead, so tough it up, Buttercup, you're in the future.
And now you have to do elite missions to prove Sarita's captains
I'm just thinking
did not commit
that
crimes.
actually kind of really is a raw deal for the Bozeman because it's kind of the exact same thing as the Enterprise C, but because it didn't happen in a pivotal moment of Federation history, they don't care and can't. I mean, I know the Rift allowed them to send them back, but still, it's like, it's kind of a raw deal.
Well, except they knew, Enterprise C presumably knew they were going to kill themselves, basically. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not. Again, once you introduce this concept over the franchise, and I don't think you can even argue like, oh, at the time of that episode, we didn't know. We knew. Like you would say, the Bozeman, like, oh, well, I guess we could just. I mean, worst case, we can give you some ship and slingshot you around and send you back home. But they're like, like you said, like, oh, so can we go back home? No,
sorry.
I mean, what did Picard say? He's like, there are ways, but they're hard. And the script doesn't determine that we should. Something like that.
Yeah,
I think some sort of in-universe rules would make would simplify this and like, but it's like because it's so fast and loose and it's just like, oh, we have this idea for a time travel episode. We just throw it out there, and now there's 18 different ways.
Well, we're going to fix that. Oh, now there's 9 different ways to. Well, because there's 2 things that should limit time travel: the practical application of it, the difficulty, and a moral decision not to. And the problem is, we're kind of fast and loose with both. Like, it's not like, okay, well, it's easy, but everybody agrees not to do it. Well, it's hard, but everybody's trying, and it's just really difficult. It's like, no, we get both, and that's really hard.
Well, it's like and I can't remember the episode title off the top of my head, but the Voyager episode, I think it was from the 6th season. Such a long season, could have been the 5th one. But anyway, it's the one where Seven gets recruited by the future Federation.
You actually see Department of Temporal Investigations in the field.
But, of course, the way that episode ends, spoiler alert, is that Captain... Oh, I think I should know his name, but I can't remember it. But anyway, Captain, whose name I can't remember, ends up going...
Relativity, right?
Yes, yeah. And a alternative version of him ends up being the saboteur. But then that's a Federation captain going rogue and using time travel. So it's like, well... If that can happen, I mean, then.
But then the department does their job and they arrest him for crimes,
pre-crimes, Minority Report style.
Yeah.
Time crimes. we're the time tops. You know, thinking about this,
Did they
though,
invent that crazy time prison that Miles lives in, where you have to serve out a life sentence in a day or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
That sounds like something they do.
Why, you know, thinking about this now, the idea that, like, the Federation would abandon sort of traditional exploration in favor of some time, like then focusing mostly on time exploration is kind of a bizarre
Time
idea.
cops, yeah.
Why is that more interesting? There's lots of, like, even far into the future, we have never left. Well, I can't say never, but we've. The
Rarely,
Federation has
yeah.
never left the Milky Way. Why can't they even just go to Andromeda, and, like, that's an entirely new galaxy to explore? You could spend 10,000 more years.
Stargate
exploring
did
that.
it.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, because honestly, I mean, we're talking about time. If we did space, because according to Prodigy now, which is whatever we were saying, that wherever that's set, you know, I guess obviously the way, you know, I don't know, whatever time it's set. But anyway, like, space is, or the Milky Way is pretty much done. Like, with the proto, or with you know, whatever the Dauntless is using for those watching Prodigy, because it's the slipstream. I mean, they could just, like, delta quadrant it in a couple hours, so it's like done.
Yeah, that's fine.
Space done.
That space isn't done. That's just the one tiny little piece of space that we have.
Well, I mean, they could do that. They can do the gamma quadrant, and then, you know, that's the Milky Way.
That's still Milky Way. What
Well,
I'm saying
it
is,
just
why
it
wouldn't-
opens it up more. I get what you're saying. It's like, because of even if only a handful of ships have that technology, eventually, after a matter of time, every ship can have that, unless there's some special. Unless the lithium blows up, then you're just.
I mean, what are the odds of that happening? That'd be ridiculous.
That's also. See, that's the thing. Like, if you, this is power creep, and it bothers me. Like, the idea that, like, the protostar or those ships can go to a different quadrant in, I don't know, days, weeks. What does it say at this point?
I mean, days. Yeah.
That means Discovery should literally... I mean, Discovery can jump anywhere, of course, but even not using the spore drive, Discovery should have the ability to just be anywhere, like at any time, because that's 1,000 years in the future.
Well,
so,
but that's why they had the burn. They tried to what's it called? Scarcify fast travel by blowing up the... I mean, don't make me say it. Don't make me say it out loud.
Well, I mean, it's very...
Well, I don't think you understand how sad that little boy was. Sarah. Don't think you know how many tears he had
Stop
to
it. Stop it.
Okay.
Well, it did
Jordy's
make...
like, I would have shot him myself.
Well, it makes me... And we're going to get back to time. But it does make me think in Discovery, like, they're... And again, for the reasons we've talked about, they're pretty alpha-beta quadrant-centric. I mean, based on what we know now... I mean, again, if the Discovery truly can go everywhere, that there is, I don't know much about mushrooms. There is no limit. I mean, is there? I mean, they could go to Andromeda like that, right?
I don't know. I have no idea how big the network is, I guess. It's never been clear.
Right.
Or made sense.
Yeah. So, but I mean, and again, I know they've sort of been locked into the plot, but I mean, there's no reason. I mean, the season's probably already been filmed, but there's no reason
they can't go anywhere. But
they can't go to Andromeda.
Shuttle.
Yeah, you know.
It's just like, and this is the thing, and I get it. Like, the temptation for writers is, like, always to push, but, like, setting limits to things is like how you constrain your stories and, like, your so, like, okay.
Like, why don't we just go to Andromeda Galaxy? Well, we can't. So, and we said that before. So let's not.
Yes, exactly. There's a bubble. We just made it up. But
A warp bubble.
There's a bubble.
Oh, right.
You can't leave. It just, so, like, every time they keep doing this, it's like, okay, 10 warp 10. We made that the line. Right? Nope. Threshold.
Warp 13.
Nope,
I remember when Warp 10 was the threshold. Those are good days.
So it's like, why keep? And then, okay, then you're going to jump 1,000 years into the future. Ugh, okay, whatever.
Well, is there a time travel episode or episodes that to you represent time travel jumping the shark in Star Trek?
Oh, interesting. Good question.
Well, like, for instance, and this is not an example, but this is a parallel example. and maybe this is a future topic for us, DS9 in the Mirror universe. That, it's really hard to get into the Mirror universe, and like DS9, like, nah, we just do it on a Tuesday. It's not a big deal. Swap. You know, after a while, it was like, okay, apparently it's not a big deal to go to a parallel universe. But I don't know if when you were like, okay, we're getting dipping a little heavy into the time travel, because I think that is part of Star Trek, no question, and. It's not like Doctor Who, per se, that, I feel like with Trial and Tribulations, and then in Voyager with Flashback, well, because they were like, those were anniversary episodes, and so that's where you want to explore the franchise, whereas, DS9 went literal time travel, and then Voyager's like, well, how do we do time travel without doing time travel? And that was just, that was how they did that. We're going to go into Tuvok's mind, basically, someone who's lived a long time. And so, like, with future things, if we want to play with the franchise, how do we do time travel without? Let's pick one. Nexus. That was generations ago. We want Picard to meet Kirk. How do we do that without doing time travel? it is, but it isn't, because we just made up this thing, So
well, the Nexus is stupid. It's just because it makes no sense. That has no rules. The Nexus, like. It kills people, but it didn't kill Kirk for whatever reason, or Guinan, but other people did die from it. I don't know how you.
It doesn't kill except when it does. Time has no meaning. It creates echoes. It's a long list of rules and not rules.
Yeah. You would think there would be like 50,000 spaceships following this thing, trying to like scan it.
Why can't you just fly into it with a ship?
See, now I'm picturing like Picard's,
Nexus groupies.
No, but like where he's like, oh, I'll just go back to slightly earlier and stop Soren. It's like, or you could go back to when you're standing on the deck of 10 Forward with Soren on your ship and just be like, Picard's secured, I need you all to, and then just arrest him right then.
Data's right there, man.
For his pre-crime.
For his yeah, totally.
It's
true.
Conspiracy.
That's a lot of
to blow
paperwork
up
to be like, well, so actually what happened? Oh God, that give me.
And then temporal investigations visits, and and that's the rest of the movie.
Here's the thing, and I think it's a good question, Philip. Like, about one episode jumping the shark, but I think most of the time Star Trek is just lazy with its time travel. But a lot of the times it's for the good of the story. So, like, for example, in Trials and Tribulations, it is
like
lazily...
Little Green Men. It's like self-contained, where it's like, I don't feel like this is a threat to the galaxy. It's just shenanigans.
Right.
That does. Well, actually, that brings up the. Sorry, real quick. That brings up. It's not a big deal, but it is like a thing with me. Like, if we sat down and wrote down how many times prior to First Contact did aliens visit Earth? Because I'm sure it's like 85 million at this point, where it's like, First Contact is so big, like, nah, is it, and not all time travel, but some time travel reasons that aliens visited Earth before First Contact.
I agree. That the Vulcans have done it, and the Ferengi in that one episode have done it.
Tuvok did it.
Well, yes, you're right. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Spock did it.
Yeah.
With his headband.
T'Pol. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of our main characters, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
Soong was probably there at some point, even though he is human.
Well, I think he's a Time Lord. He just regenerates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, at least. So I'm thinking of like, so in Little Green Men, because I just watched that not too long ago, they had chemosite, I think is what it was. Something in the back of this shuttle, for whatever reason, caused time travel all of a sudden. And it's like, okay, again, it's
the orb of time was stored here last Thursday, and then the chemosite made. It's like they spent about 5 minutes writing the why, and then just move on, and it's like, okay, whatever.
And then Rom was able to figure out how to go back and forward in time. So
that's why I'm saying,
what's the problem with that? Well, Rom's an idiot.
Well, and again, look, this is do you want a good story, or do you want scientifically accurate? But and I don't know, Darren, if you know more about this than obviously we do, but in time travel, you're not I mean, you're spatially constrained. And so every time travel episode, you should be like, all right, we moved forward or backward. And suddenly you're like in a different part because not only has the planet moved or the solar system moved, the entire galaxy has moved.
Everybody ignores that because we don't even know if that would actually happen because we can't actually time travel. But I know what you mean. It's the whole, like, if everything is moving through everything, even time traveling a moment, you're now if your anchor point is relative to Earth, then you're thousands and thousands of miles from where you were. But everybody just ignores that because it's too much of a headache.
Yeah. We just assume in these different types of traveling, that's accounted for in some fashion or whatever. But
I just feel like, and again, I feel like you could play with it. I mean, like, you could be like, boom, hey, where'd Earth go? It's suddenly over there.
That's true. I mean, at least at a minimum of that. I mean, I know it adds running time, but like First Contact, they're in orbit of Earth and then they go through it. It should be like, oh, well, it's actually July, and so it's over there.
Yeah, I know. Why are we around Neptune now?
And that could, I mean, again, I know why they don't, because you get the whole reveal of now it's Borgified, but if they had just thrown in that little line and then they warp over to, the July side, like, that's going to take 2 seconds. So it's not going to, like, extend the show that much, but it'd be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I get it, because like any land or planet-based time travel, you're still going to be floating in space and die. So,
So let's talk about some specific examples of time travel in Star Trek. I'm going to start with the best example, the best time travel episode, which is We'll Always Have Paris from season 2 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Or is it 1?
See that? I mean, it's been a while and I realize it, but I mean that makes it interesting. In some ways, time travel. I know you're going to say, well, it's not the most exciting episode in the world, but 3 datas, and which one's the real data? Well, which one's the prime data? I mean, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, we don't dwell on that, but it is an interesting thought. Yeah. I was mostly joking just because that episode is not great. But what do you guys like? What is the first thing that pops in your mind when you think that's a good time travel episode?
Well, I always think not specific
ones.
Yeah, in general, though, I mean, I feel like there is, not that every series should do it, but the current Star Trek series travels to current time period. It's a check the block issue. But I mean, it's interesting, though. I suppose because the TOS did it first. TNG never did it, except for.
I mean, they went to old timey San Francisco. They kind of overshot.
And then first contact's the future or near future. So, but they never did present. And then DS9, again, shot a little bit to the closer future, the scary future, which probably may actually happen future. And
they did the slightly past.
They did the slight past with Little Green Man. And then, so Voyager, I guess, was the next one to actually do present day. Enterprise did present day. Yeah. Present day. Yeah, Enterprise did present day during the Xindi War to do. And then we go into the 21st century. But anyway, so... Yeah,
I thought Enterprise went to German past, or was that present day after alternate future change?
No, so that's a different episode. So they do go to alternate history.
You're thinking Carbon Creek? Is what you're talking about?
Nope. There's one where they go to Chicago or Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. I think it has I can't remember the actor's name, but anyway, it's the one where it's not necessarily a memorable episode, but it's where it's Archer and T'Pol, because it's when T'Pol finally gets to travel through time, and because they're in the car that they order for a drive-through. It's basically where the Xindi.
Man, I need to rewatch Enterprise because I'm trying to blank.
The Xindi are basically taking people and like doing blood samples, so then they can infect the water supply, which will then kill humans and affect the future.
Well, that's bad.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah. So yeah. This is not necessarily an answer to your question, but I'm going to ask this: whether you think this is interesting or not, because it's a more modern example from Discovery / Strange New Worlds. Having Pike touch the time crystal, that sounds ridiculous, and then knowing his future. Obviously, that's supposed to make the compelling character arc or moment. I mean, you see it from the very first episode of Strange New Worlds. And that's supposed to be his arc that you see in the last episode of Strange New Worlds for the first season. So, I mean, do you think that added something to that, or was that hokey use of time travel?
I haven't watched all the Strange New Worlds yet, so I don't know where that ends up. I don't like it, though. I think it's weird. Like, it's like a meta thing, I think. Like, because we, the audience, knows what happens to Pike. I don't know. Why can't that just be enough? Like, why do we... I don't know what compelling reason it would bring to... That, like, it's a more nobler sacrifice if it's... I don't know. No, I don't like things like that. I don't like when it adds stuff... complicates stuff unnecessarily. Like, so Pike... So we discover this is what this accident is when he goes in... Well, we don't discover. We know this from the cage, but he goes in to save this group of cadets or whatever. Why can't that just be a self-contained heroic act that just happens in the moment? Why does it have to be this, like, predestination nonsense? It just bothers me. I just don't, like, why do we have to do that? It feels like just the writers are just, like, getting paid by the word or something. I don't know. Like, why are we doing this path? So, no, to me, that's not particularly compelling, but I don't know if other people feel that way or not.
I mean, my answer about that, I don't know, it spoils some things from later in that season, so I don't know if you haven't watched Strange New Worlds, Daniel, but...
No, I don't care. You can yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with it. It's just it adds another bit of flavor to his, because he moves past it. That's the thing. If it was like for all of time now, Pike is going to second guess everything, every episode, that it gets old. But when I feel it kind of jumps the shark a little bit when his future self shows up and is like, "Hey, you're about to make a bad decision," and doesn't really explain how he's there or what's going on.
I was just trying to remember how Admiral Pike time traveled.
It's a time crystal. It is.
I think so. I think it is, actually.
They gloss over it so fast, but yeah, that's a little much for me.
So just time crystals, just to talk about that for a second, because
I
how
don't
dumb
want
it
to
is.
talk about time crystals.
The Klingons have a whole planet of time crystals.
That nobody...
And they've never used, apparently.
Yeah.
They've never used them. Only the Klingon monks use them to monk things. I don't know, man. It's such a dumb... It's so stupid.
So should we be entrusting our nuclear weapons to, monks, I guess?
Well,
maybe?
granted, don't the time crystals, the way you were saying that Pike used it was he touched it and he saw his future. He didn't actually travel to the future.
It's an unknown... I mean, did he, quantum leap into himself for a moment? I don't know. I don't know.
Anyways, let's talk about some good episodes. Something like All Good Things comes to mind, of course, but I kind of put Q trickery in a different category than actual time travel, because I'm not sure if I don't know if it makes a difference, but I don't know if he's actually traveling people through time, or he's just showing them, or he's just kind of creating a pocket universe where, this is what it would be, or this is... I don't know, and it doesn't really matter, because he's all-powerful and he can do whatever he wants. But I wonder which of those things would be easier for him, or which ones he would actually do.
I mean, this brings up a thought, or a question I would have for you all, because then it reminds me of the Jake Sisko episode, where we get...
The Visitor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there... All Good Things, good episode. The Visitor, thought of a very good episode. Is there a problem in showing future events with our characters? So in All Good Things, we get the future versions of the cast. Same thing in DS9. We get the future uniform. Right? If they don't stick with it. So in other words, All Good Things, you're writing All Good Things. And you're like, don't worry, guys, we're going to have a great movie we're going to write after this. But you're writing All Good Things, and, this is our future characters. And then, now you do that hand wavy at the end, well, because we now know what happened, things could be totally different. I was like, well, all right. Okay, I see what you're doing.
But still, the thing is, you still have your day-to-day. I can't believe that Beverly Crusher's I gotta go so off the reservation from what you told me, Picard, that I'm gonna completely change the trajectory of my life because of this one conversation. It's no, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Because it's still... Because I say that now that we have Picard Season 3, and again, when they wrote All Good Things, are they thinking, oh, hey, we're going to do a new series 25 years from now that'll... no, they're not doing that.
They should have been thinking that.
But, and the same thing with DS9, the same thing with anything that, we're going to... But then we're also going to create this world, and I know it's going to be a stupid thing I'm going to complain about, but, with uniforms... And then any future Star Treks.
I've given up the uniform.
I know.
I mean, they change it all the time. At this point,
it doesn't
they're just
matter.
kind of getting us numb to the new uniform, so we just like, okay, whatever.
But I guess isn't that the danger of doing future time travel in Star Trek of your characters, not like you do 1,000 years like Discovery, where it's like this is the, and then you really gotta at the end of the episode be like, or is it? You know,
This is why you don't do that. You know,
it's a reverse prequel problem.
Right, exactly. Why, again, can't you just stay in your lane, man? just The Visitor is actually a really interesting example because, when you think of The Visitor, or at least me, when I think of The Visitor, you think of the emotional storyline, obviously, between Jake and Cisco. I mean, he is Cisco. Jake and Ben. But a lot of that episode, a very good chunk of that episode, is them trying to sort out what's happening and then trying to kind of reverse it. And it's a really interesting concept that they were somehow linked through this whatever, and like he keeps snapping back to him and stuff like that. It's just just a unique kind of story. Like that's a kind of story you probably couldn't tell, of course, without time travel. But
I don't know if you all have. I've never read The Time Traveler's Wife. Isn't like the same vibe as the okay? Anyway, I have to ask my wife. She would, because it's been a TV series, a movie, and a TV series.
I haven't seen it either, but
it's kind of the same vibe as The Visitor, isn't it? Anyway.
Where like he's jumping through multiple points and she's not.
Yeah,
she's kind of just dealing with I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, okay. I was just saying, not that I'm saying it's not an original idea, but it's there's only 5 stories, right? But there's maybe only 5 time travel stories. But anyway, but it's a good, there's nothing wrong with Star Trek taking a story and then Star Trekking it and then giving a father-son, bent to it. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. What else? What else that we think is worth a watch, even though it might be lazy?
Well, like,
go
ahead.
Cause and effect. I was going to say.
No, I think we've mentioned it 3 times.
The best
we already mentioned it. Yeah.
Where time travel is, like you said, like cause and effect, or Year of Hell is time travel technically, but it's not like it's like adjacent time travel. Like it's not like the whole plot of it. I mean, but the fact that it resets at the end
again. Because Year of Hell, parts 1 and 2, is actually the last 2 of the trilogy. Because the first episode, whose name I can't remember, is with Kes. When she...
Yeah.
Remember that? Because you actually see the events of Year of Hell in that Kes episode. From Kes being there. Right. And then I think you get then parts 1 and 2 of Year of Hell.
She's already changing things by leaving.
And I think that would go back to my because that Kes episode, which I can't remember the name of. It's an interesting thing because it starts with her death and then goes backwards, which is an interesting way to do it. But we're telling the future of Voyager backwards, which we know doesn't happen. Now you could say it's because Kes left and then changed, but
Timeless, isn't that the one with Harry Kim goes into we're seeing the Voyager future of they get home, but it takes what was like 15 years or something really long. Maybe more than that.
Yeah, that's the one from Voyager, yeah.
Well, Timeless is the one where Chakotay and Harry go home immediately and Voyager crashes into the ice planet.
Oh, you're right. I'm thinking of Endgame.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
It's where they do get home, and then Janeway's like, that took too long, and too many people died, and Tuvok went nuts. I'm going to change the future past.
Now, in Endgame, because it's been a while since I've seen it, because, not great, the Klingons were providing time travel. Was it a time crystal?
It was it might have been. It was a device.
Retcon.
Everybody's looting that planet for time crystals.
Jeez. Guys, you've never seen Back to the Future until you've seen it in the original Klingon.
Oh, boy.
That's.
I want to circle back to Year of Hell, just because the idea of the Krenim, talk about time travel abuse, man. This one guy with
your
this one
planet
ship.
Gone. Okay.
He just rewrites all of history. And we have no idea how big.
Because we're not inside the anchor. That's
Yeah.
the cool thing about time travel. It's like the Krenim are the anchors, so they see the change. We
Temporal shields.
don't. That's why we get that awesome shot where they have their time shields, when Voyager finally does, and they see the ship literally change in front of them from a giant explorer, giant warship to like a teeny little scout vessel. And I'm like, okay, that's
But like, just in terms of like the commonality of time travel and the ease of it, like these people are just going, and this one guy essentially is just going around rewriting all of history and changing things on such a scale it's literally unfathomable. Like you couldn't possibly imagine what that would do.
Imagine he's like, I'm just going to wipe out the Borg by destroying their planet that they originated from, or something like that.
I mean, they could be the sole cause of everything. Like they could have been the reason the Borg became big and huge, and
Right.
because of all their messing around with time. Like
They mess around with it a lot.
Well, it doesn't.
I mean, go ahead.
And it just reminds me of Loki. If you all watched that series, I forgot what the name of the organization is. But anyway,
TVA, the Time
thank you.
Variance Authority.
Very good, thank you. Where they have the holy time, whatever they call it. But anyway, the prime timeline.
Yeah, it's not holy, but it's something like that.
Yeah. But anyway, where they're the keepers, or so-called keepers. Now, you could argue, again, I only watched that series once, but the argument is not necessarily that it's the prime timeline, it's the timeline they want.
Right. Right. And it's weird because it's not like the other timeline spurts are happening because of a device. They just happen naturally because of choice. And then they're like, oh, well, we have to jump over here and snip off this branch. It sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
A
A lot of whack-a-mole.
I mean, if you sit there and think about time travel, like that, nobody should have that.
Gives me one big
Nobody.
headache.
You nobody should, like, the consequences of those actions. You couldn't calculate them. You couldn't figure them out. The Krenim ship could not have a computer smart enough to say this is 92% reduction in whatever. You wouldn't know. There's no way. It's immeasurable. It would be.
I mean, I personally, I think the best time travel episode, I'm trying to think if Star Trek even does one of these types, is the predestination, where has already happened, and so you're not actually changing time. You are just
of course.
part of the loop. Which one had that?
Would be DS9. Captain Sisko had to be Bell.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good one where it's like you travel through time, but it's
It was already
showing
part of
that already happened. So it's the predestination.
It technically
And so-
wasn't predestination. Something they did caused Bell to get shot. So that's technically, but you're right.
But
we don't know if that's
well.
what happened
But what I'm
originally
saying is,
as
from the
well.
point of view of our actors, our
Yeah.
characters in the DS9 time, that's technically already happened.
Mm-hmm.
Bell has already been shot. He's already been replaced by Cisco. We just don't know that until we get there. So those, I think, are kind of interesting because they're not actually messing anything up. Now, it's not presented like that because we're in the moment that they're making that choice, and so it feels like it's a pivot and could wreck the future, but it's really predestination. And it's
It would be.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it would have been interesting in that episode because it's not until the end of the episode when they say, "Oh, this Bell guy looks like you." They should have done that in the beginning, like when they were looking up the records. They should have been like, "Oh, wow, this Bell guy looks a lot like you."
I don't remember Gabriel Bell looking like a Trill woman. Wait, no, that didn't.
Well, it would have been funny in that episode because I think they show a picture in the episode of the original Bell. It would have been funny if
We see the original Bell get shot. I don't think they ever see him in a data pad.
I don't remember.
I feel like it is, but because then it would have been interesting at the beginning of the episode because even it comes up. Maybe it doesn't come up, but I'm making it up. But anyway, if someone's looking at the database, whether it's on the Define or something, and they don't show you it, and they're like, "Man, he looks a lot like Cisco," and or you don't want to be racist about things, but like if you could say it in some or just he looks familiar. Bell really looks familiar, don't you think so? Like, yeah, I don't know what it is, and then you can reveal at the end.
Didn't Lower Decks do something like that where he's like, "Doesn't Gabriel Bell look a lot like Captain?" I thought.
Yeah, I think they made
a
a
joke
about
on that.
Well, that was Little Green Men, where Nog was like, "Have you ever noticed?"
I'm like, I know someone's made that joke.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember when. That's right. That which makes more sense. It's DS9.
Well, now you could argue in some ways that
That's right. And Quark's like, all humans look alike. What are you talking about?
that in Trial and Tribulations, technically is predestination because, and just on this point alone, when you watch the TOS original episode,
It intercuts.
you see. I'm going to talk about the 1960s. That episode, those tribbles are coming down on Kirk's head. And now you find out it's because Cisco was chunking them down. Like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
that didn't.
No, you're right.
Nothing changed. Well, the only thing that changed is that O'Brien and
we say
Bashir were in that line.
predestination, but it's really saying that the events that we previously saw, Trial and Tribulations in this example, are technically already taking place with the effects of our time travel. Just like in, Future Emperor or whatever the Gabriel Bell one is. We're saying that the history our characters remember has already been affected by Cisco and crew. But I think we're glossing over the Kira saying her nose is broken at a nightclub. What repercussions did that have? No.
Groovy.
Well, so here's the thing too. In that episode,
Past tense. Sorry.
talking about
Yes, sorry.
consequences and stuff and predestination stuff, like what Cisco does at the end to indulge himself to meet Kirk, could have been dangerous, but you don't know. You can't just
But
do
again,
stuff.
that technically already happened.
Right. Yeah.
But already happened, quote unquote, matters on who you're talking about. We're saying that from the perspective of our DS9 characters on DS9. Yes, it already happened, but
Well, like
that's
I'm
our
thinking
audience's frame of view.
going to episodes because you said Future Imperfect, which is the wrong title, but it then made me think of Future Imperfect, the episode.
Okay, that's the Voyager one. Where
No.
no.
No, Future Imperfect is a TNG episode. That is not a time travel episode, but you think it is. That's the one where Riker wakes up, Captain Riker,
kid.
Oh, that's right.
and now
It's in the future, but it's not.
so I mean that's an interesting use of time travel,
And you could
but
do
not.
different uniforms and com badges. It doesn't matter because it was all fake.
That's right.
It's fake time travel.
Yeah,
See, that's the good kind of time travel. There you go. Yeah,
that it was fake the whole time.
consequence-free time travel. There you go.
So yeah, it's not crewman Daniel showing up and come to the closet. Let's time travel.
You'd think they would give time travel duties to somebody higher than crewman, but
I'm waiting for Lower Decks now to do some sort of Department of Temporal I want to see an ensign, a lower decker in the Department of Temporal Investigations.
Darren, you act like we're not going to see that because we know we are. Strange New Worlds crossover.
Oh, you're right.
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about
I
that.
forgot about the crossover.
I can't believe I can't believe I completely forgot that.
And I forget, which way is the crossover going? Or is it going both ways?
It's going both ways. Isn't
Well, I feel like
When I say both ways, I mean, are we
I know what you mean.
seeing voiced by the actor Strange New World characters in animated form, and we are seeing live action versions of characters from Lower Decks in a Strange New Worlds episodes? That's what I would consider a cross.
The implication I've gotten, and I could be wrong, the implication I've gotten is that it so far is one way to Strange New Worlds, that it's live action. I've not heard the reverse. I mean, obviously, you think the reverse would be much
don't
easier.
say it has to be.
Yeah.
Because that's why I was saying specifically Lower Decks, because you could, if there's ever a show to do time travel, do it animated, because then it doesn't matter that all these characters or these actors are older or younger or whatever. Just use their voices.
Okay, so here it is. Jack Quaid responds to he's like, I need to specify because I've been seeing a lot of different takes on it. So they already shot it, and it's him and Tawny Newsome as the live action versions of our animated characters. I'm going to have
At a
purple
convention,
hair.
sitting
We
on a
had
panel.
uniforms made. Yeah, I know. And then they go to step on the Enterprise. So they're literally, it's just the two of them, it looks like, and going on to the Enterprise. So
Wow.
That makes sense. I mean, that.
Well, we don't know how they're going to do it. So what's going to be the time travel nonsense they're going to introduce for that?
yeah,
I mean, it could be the holodeck. We don't know.
it
Well,
feels like the
here's-
easy way to do. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, like, are we going to see it from both sides? Meaning, is there going to be an episode on Lower Decks? Because that would mean that they're airing at the same time. which they usually don't do.
And they're not.
So then we're probably not going to see that unless we see it later. So what they could do,
I almost guaranteed that Lower Decks would reference it at least.
right?
They would
So
make a joke.
so let's say Stranger Worlds airs first in episode 5, whatever. All of a sudden, Boimler and Mariner are there. Blah blah blah. Shenanigans ensue. They disappear. Then after Stranger World is wrapped, we get our next 10 episode block of Lower Decks.
Well, hang on. We get 2 episodes of Prodigy in between.
That's true. So then we get Lower Decks, and then on one of their episodes, or maybe even the opener, they're like, we see what kicks off them traveling back in time and then back, and you could intercut the episodes if you wanted to.
You know what I
guess it would go.
You know what I would love for them to do? I mean, I say they're not going to do it. They could do it. It's that the hard part is not seeing what Tawny and Jack would do. It's that Strange New Worlds would agree to this, because it's not a serious show, but you know what I'm saying. It's certainly more serious than Lower Decks. But anyway, if they basically parody these other voyages, like they're just like they're like, oh, Boimler has some issue he's going for, so he went to the original Enterprise and Pike's Enterprise to work it out, and he's like, bumping his head.
No, we want actual time travel.
Tony's like, you're not playing the chef, are you? Because that is such a terrible part to play.
I thought the chef. He's like, the chef's the captain on this ship. It's a great part to play.
Now, I kind of agree with you, Philip. They're like, why? Because those characters are just not. They're just hyper realistic characters. They're gonna not fit in very well there. I don't know how it's gonna work. It's gonna be interesting.
Are they gonna animate giant bug eyes over their faces, or are they gonna actually look like people?
No. Well, I think that the part, with both of them, other than, they're obviously a little older probably than their cartoon characters. They look very like, all you do is, Jack, what you just do is make his hair purple, and it's not that hard, and he yells like that in real life. Trust me, watch The Boys. It's basically Boimler grown up.
All right. Well, any final thoughts about time travel? Or actually, you know what? Let me do the introduction right now. And now that's a time travel joke. Any final thoughts? Final thoughts about time travel, guys, before we close out for the day?
Our thoughts that we had 3 episodes from now, I'm going to say now. Put them in the right episode. No, this was fun. We bash on it a bit at the beginning about, or was it the end? About, just how easy it is and all of that. But there's really a lot of good time travel episodes, especially the ones that are kind of bottle shows and very contained and things like that. And, at the end of the day, it seems like time travel episodes are one of 2 things. It's a moral choice episode. Like, do we fix things? Do we change things? Even City on the Edge of Forever is that. Or is it where's my point going? There's like the moral choice, or like just the adventure of returning. Like, we got to get back. How do we do that?
Back to the future?
Forward to the future. All that. It's basically Back to the Future reasons, changing the past. And
we've got to get back to the future. Oh, man.
Yeah, Spock's like, I've built a replica. It's not to scale. Yeah. Well,
I just remember. I don't know why I was blanking, but we were talking all about Klingons and time travel. It's a freaking Klingon bird of prey. They use a slingshot around the sun. So
I know.
I think
it's Christopher Lloyd's, by the way.
It's an old dumpy one. It's not like it's a brand new ship.
I think if maybe it's like the hull lined with time crystals. Is that what the green is? It could be, as far as we know.
And then you just sprinkle some nuclear
when they're flying
on
through,
them,
and we see that kind of shimmer coming out of the engine. Is that time crystal dust? Because
well, by the way, if I could just go in this Klingon time crystal that apparently apparently they're the inventors of time travel, as far as I'm concerned. Not a great episode, but just also, I don't know how they explained it. Future Alexander, TNG episode.
Oh yeah, what did happen in that episode?
That's true. He's just there, and we're like,
he pretends to be, whatever, cousin or whatever, and then because he basically says Alexander's a wimp.
Alexander, a completely new person you've never met before, Father Worf, Mr. Worf.
Firstborn is the name of the episode.
Do we need to watch Firstborn again? I feel
no, we do.
I don't want to, but I cannot remember it at all.
Because then, if I remember that episode correctly, and not to say it's not wrong, but it is wrong, I think, because that, like, the thing that discovers him, or one of the things that discovers him is that, like, there's a House of Duras emblem that shows that the Duras sisters have children, and they don't have children. And I'm like, do they? Because, you know, when we blew them up in Generations, were they, you know, leaving some 2-year-old orphan at home? But anyway, that is just one of those things, again, predicting future with your own characters. But yeah, I don't know. Are Klingons just time traveling all the time?
Quark is in that episode, so there's a reason to watch it.
Maybe they just have all sorts of crazy adventures, but it's all contained to like the Empire. That's why it's always in disarray, and like no one knows who's in power because it changes, and the Federation
Darren,
is like, we don't care.
Did you just explain the foreheads?
No, we already had a whole episode.
It's all because of time travel.
It would be.
Which timeline?
Look, this is why it's like, here's a educational film. Honorable Klingon, do not time travel, even though you have the means at your disposal. Literally any of our ships can do it, but if you do, your ridges will fall off.
That's right.
Thank you. This has been a message from the High Council.
That's right.
Alexander explains that he has come back from 40 years in the future with the assistance of a man he met in the Canberra system.
A Klingon man?
There's like a guy with like a trench coat is like, time crystals?
Klingon.
Time crystals? Watches?
Anyways, well, maybe we'll talk about Klingons
40 years
to
in the
keep her
future,
time.
that's like running into Picard era time.
I mean, is Kronos just Gallifrey? Is that what's going on here? I don't...
Guys, it's called Kronos.
Were they mining?
It was there the whole time!
It's called... We were confused because of how it's spelled, but it's literally
Or like, is it a Q? Is it a K? It was a CH!
It's a CH. It's a K.
Kronos.
Mining time crystals on Praxis? Is that
Oh, no.
Now you cannot convince me it was.
It's always been the Klingon.
Gosh. Of all the races to have like at their disposal time travel, that is not the one I would want to. But apparently it's been okay.
All right, well, we're gonna have to suss this out and try to track these Klingons down. But Philip, if people wanted to get a hold of you to find out what your favorite Klingon time traveler is, how would they get a hold of you?
While it lasts, they can find me at NC Public Servant.
Well, with time travel, it might always. And Darren, what about you?
Forget those social medias that are unstable. Go straight to drsci-fi.com to get all the best of what I'm working on.
I see it's right. I guess I can't recommend Twitter either. So if you want to find me, send a carrier pigeon through time, please. All right, that's it for this week. We'll catch you guys next time. I'm Daniel Prue.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
Stranded here in time.